Welcome to the Ultimate Marketplace Rapture Factor Conversational Training Conference Series Preview. This is with AliNICOLE Wow and Joseph L. Jones Jr. And I must say, we are extremely excited to be sharing with you today about really one of the most significant occurrences in history of the online marketplace dynamics. So the new era marketplace trajectories, which I've talked about in previous training calls, and you'll be able to access some of those calls below the description. And it has actually fully activated and starting to usher in this new now business era trajectory. And this particular trajectory will be the dominating force really over the next 2 decades to set up really a new eternal normal for each new era to come. So I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of the Ultimate Marketplace Rapture. And this is really designed to ascend a select group of required higher level service providers and really ascending them off of the traditional business grids and economic frameworks, and going to be calibrating their models with the new era industry standards, but also preparing them in their second coming of branding and empire formats. And this is for thriving and sustainability within lifestylepreneurship as this new now normal business era trajectory continues to set in. One of the things I want to highlight at this moment is that within this new experience, life and business or career become really one cohesive cross-functional way of beingness. And so that's something very exciting for others to partake of and participate in, because having those married as one, where things are not going to feel like you're under this laborious law anymore, and everything's just going to flow within the cohesiveness of a new life structure and a new life way of being. So that's exciting, because your life's purpose or your mission, just everything that you are here to do and facilitate as it relates to sharing your gifts and your talents, will just feel more like just a flow of life. You are in the business of being you, and the ultimate best you, which is the divine you, for sure. So also I want to say before I bring Joseph forward is that this experience will provide a series of virtual summits, conferences, and also many trainings. And we're going to be combining the Ultimate Marketplace Reset Conference within this endeavor, as they both will be occurring simultaneously. And I mentioned that there are some links below in the description to several preview calls, and you can learn more about the new era marketplace trajectories and the purpose of that, the origin of that. And what these preview calls will help assist you with is really preparing for this experience. So there are going to be ones that are there for the rapture. We've actually done 2, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a few. But then also we have calls that we did around the Ultimate Marketplace Reset preview calls there too. So yeah, so it's exciting what we're going to get into today. So I'm going to bring Joseph forward, and let's have a great conversation. Joseph, I'm excited about this.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've been waiting, for quite some time for these significant shifts to take place, and they've been happening subtly, I should say, but then suddenly they really start to be more of the massive overtakers. And so the subtle becomes very significant. So a lot of the changes that have been occurring within individuals and what they've been setting up, they're going to see the fuller manifestations of those play out, but they're going to play out very differently and very uniquely. So it's exciting, for sure. definitely.
Well, I like to see it as a divine subtlety and divine suddenly.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Someone preached a sermon about that years ago.
I do recall. I do recall.
Yes, yes. Um, two actually, yeah. One on that and the other one. Yeah, exactly. It was two different ones. Um, so yeah, this is very exciting. And during this preview call, what I'm going to be doing is actually sharing 7 of the groups that will be part of the Ultimate Marketplace Rapture experience. And yeah, it's just so important. And like I said, we're in a time that we've never been in history, and the newness is or has already been formulated, but now others are going to really perceive it and notice that, wow, this is taking place. It's no longer springing up, as Isaiah 43, 18 and 19 talks about. It's here, and people will be able to partake in that. It's like it's before you. So we can forget the former things and allow ourselves to be raptured in consciousness, raptured in understanding, and just now fully play out in this experience. And it is a new experience that people are going to have to adjust themselves to as well, because the world will never be the same. So Joseph, before I start sharing about the 7 Rapture candidate groups, is there anything you would like to mention before I start sharing about that?
Well, I just like to mention that the old things have passed away, and behold, I make all things new.
Absolutely.
And I want that to be sort of the motto that we take into this new energy, this new era, this new now time,
Yes.
because we're creating something that has never been created before.
That's right.
And the ideas and concepts that have guided us in the old age are not going to be the leading ideas moving us forward. That's in right. The now time. We have to shift and lean into a very different aspect of ourselves and bring that to the forefront so that our offerings are congruent with the times in which we're living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why the new now business era and that trajectory, which springs forth from the new now era trajectory. But again, because we're talking about the marketplace, the business aspect is the primary one, like I said, that's really queuing up for the next 2 decades to play out in a very magnificent way. And you really epitomized Isaiah 43, 18 and 19 about forgetting the former things and being able to see the new thing that has already been done, but at the same time that's been springing up for quite some time. And I believe that it's important, as even within the context of that scripture, that it gave attention to say, notice, have you been paying attention? Have you been noticing? Don't you see it springing up? Don't you perceive it? Because a lot of times people aren't perceiving, forever hearing and never understanding, forever seeing but never perceiving. And so I think that the reason why that was put in there, and that God wanted to bring attention to others, is that I've been doing this new thing for quite some time. But if you have been paying attention, you would be aware that something new is emerging, and you would not continue to keep recalling the former things. And so going back to what you just mentioned, is that that's why it's important, is that we have to lay aside, as Paul would say, everything that so easily besets you, and press on and move forward. And so it is time to let go of old frameworks, things that no longer serve, because as good as they were within the old traditional grid, so to speak, this newer trajectory, they have no place there. If they have not metamorphosized and evolutionized, they can't be optimized within this new experience. So we have to be in the new now energy of business, in the business of being who we are, and also in the business of our life's calling and purpose, which is all together now, for sure. So I'm excited about this because I want to share the 7 Rapture candidate groups. And there certainly are more, but these are the primaries. And within the conference, I actually talk more about why these particular groups were the most important in the initial rapturing, aspect, but won't be getting into those today. So the 7 rapture candidate groups are empathic-preneurs, and they contain the unique encoding of the new business world template for higher service professionalism, but also wellnesspreneurship and the new high-end service mastery way of being. They will be the leading stars within the transformation and evolution and expansion of this new trajectory. Whereas in the former, they were not even noticed or recognized, and in fact looked at as weird, but they are actually the stars in this new grid. Also, entrepreneurs within the solo and small business, the small business owners, primarily the online small business owners. Also, evolutionary leaderpreneurs. These are your higher conscious wisdom leaders, and they facilitate their missions within this entrepreneurial format or the functionalities. So it's in a very new way, and they're leading from this higher space of consciousness and wisdom. Also, the educationalist. These are your higher ed curriculum developers, homeschooler facilitators, tutors. There's a lot within that particular aspect, but mainly what I'm speaking to are going to be those who are going to be serving really in the online marketplace in a very huge way, but also still making an impact within the live context, of education. But they're bringing about a completely different educational system for this new trajectory. Also, the edutainers. So edutainers are those in the entertainment space who are providing educational value, and this is via their creative brand artistry. And so I get more into these within the conference. The next candidate is economic-preneurs, and these are the ones who will be setting up the new global financial template and really changing the current infrastructure of what we see, currently. They'll be introducing the newer grid and the financial constructs for this new experience. Also, event planningpreneurs, and those are going to be some of your higher service hospitality industry service providers, also online and live event organizers and facilitators. So these are the 7. I'm going to go through them again. Empathic-preneurs, entrepreneurs that primarily solo and small business owners online, evolutionary leaders, educationalists, edutainers, and economic-preneurs, and event planning preneurs. There are also some other groups that I'm not naming now, but they are also candidates, but these are the primaries. And as I mentioned, within the conference experience, I will be sharing the importance of why it had to be these. And I've shared kind of a little bit around the empathic-preneurs, but I get more in detail within the conference experience. So those are the 7. And what most will find is that they actually are all the 7, to some extent. We play from different, I'm all of those that I've named. And most people will find that they are as well. And the conference experience will actually reveal to them how they're already within the 7 completeness of the startup anyhow. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. So Joseph, let's have a little bit of conversation, and then what I'll do is I'll talk about a few of the events, or I can actually talk about that first, and then we can have the conversation. How would you prefer?
That sounds good.
Okay, okay. So a few of the events that are going to be taking place, and actually Joseph and I have done 2 preview calls that you'll be able to access within the description box below, is the Empathic-preneurial Rapture Summit. And that's an ongoing experience even after the summit itself. Also the Entrepreneurial Rapture Factor conference. So those are going to be 2 of the main events that will be taking place. Then there's going to be many trainings on the other 5, with the evolutionary leaderpreneurs, the educationalists, the edutainers, the economicpreneurs, and the event planningpreneurs. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to combine the Ultimate Marketplace Reset conference, and there'll be links within the description too that you can listen to 3 of the preview calls that we done for those. And it will tell you basically what all that particular conference entails. But having both of these work together is going to bring this complete evolution and metamorphosis to the marketplace expansion that needs to take place in a more tangible way. And so, like I said, we're really excited about this because all of what's going to be occurring has never happened. And in the history of not just business, really the history of the world itself, but you're going to see it play out more so within the marketplace dynamics, because the marketplace dynamics is what our livelihoods, we thrive off of that, because you have to have a marketplace in order to get your goods, whatever is pertaining to life, it's going to be within the marketplace experience. And when we think about it, even in the Bible, it talks about wisdom, and wisdom is constantly crying out in the streets, raising her voice in the marketplace, right? Because the marketplace is where people have to, like I said, go for their livelihood, whether it's to buy food, whether it's you got to buy a home. All of these things play a part of the marketplace. And so it's exciting that we're going to see a completely different trajectory of experiences and how it's going to benefit the highest good of humanity and really set up the win-win for all. And those who are being raptured into this experience get to have the benefits of preparing on this higher level to help facilitate this type of change and bring others up into this experience. So helping others to ascend in a very accelerated way so that they can participate in what really is every person's birthright, who is a birthright, but you have to sync up into it. So it's not automatic. And people don't want to be left behind, trust me. So Joseph, let's just have a little bit of dialogue around this, because like I said, we'll be facilitating this experience, but what are your thoughts about this and just the forward movement of where we are? I know you shared some earlier, but certainly just would love to hear anything else that you have to say.
Well, these 7 jewels are actually treasures. And as the mound builder, I look a lot at structure, and structure is obviously important.
Yes.
When you're talking about building and developing a business, a brand, or anything that you're doing when you're connecting with the people or establishing something as a foundation. When I look at these 7 E's,
the 7 E's, that's what they are.
And these 7 E's really speak to every aspect of what a business ought to be moving forward in this new vibration.
Yes.
And what I like about it, speaking about structure, is you start with the Empathic-preneur.
Yes.
Anything that we're going to be doing moving forward in this new era is going to come about as a result of us going within.
Yes.
And utilizing our empathic ability.
That's right.
To bring forth our treasures and our greatest works. So I like the fact that you started with that.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that I want to point out is the centerpiece in a structure is always very important. And at the center, you have the educationalist.
Yes.
Just about, well, all of these 7 E's hinge on a new education,
That's
a
right.
new mind that has to be developed. So
Absolutely.
when you look at that from the educationalist being the center, we
Mm-hmm.
have to center ourselves in a new vibration of what is coming forth now to be educated
Absolutely.
within us and bring that education forth for those around us. Of course, we know
Yeah.
that the word educate means to bring forth from within.
Right.
And that is also another aspect of the empathic journey.
That's right. The
And then,
encoding. Right. Right.
right. And then lastly is the event planning preneurs,
Mm-hmm.
because once you go through these 7 E's,
Mm-hmm.
you become the event in your beingness.
That's it.
So now
You
you
know,
are
you're touching
being,
on, yeah, I'm going to be talking about that too. Absolutely. You're already going there. Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The embodiment. You are the event. You are
yes.
the main, the main event. And it is all in, like I said, in the beingness. And think about it. Everything we do in life centers around planning, centers around an event.
Mm-hmm.
Even everything you do in your day is an event.
Mm-hmm.
You're preparing for something, and within this grander experience, um, within, let's say, physical events and different things, like everything is an event. And I actually have a work that's called In the Event Of, and it basically is a composition that allows people to plan their events, because there's always an event. Everybody is an event planner, whether they want to um, realize that or not. You are planning some endeavor, some initiative, and it is an embodiment. It is a way of beingness. And the importance of which, I'm not going to get too far into this, like I said, because I'll be teaching it in the conference, but of course you would start triggering things like you normally do. um,
That's my job.
yeah, it seems to be, right? Yeah, you do it very well. I was yeah, you're gonna have to get a universal raise on this one, because you're on that. Um, yeah, I better not go down the rabbit hole of that too far, but I do like the fact that you brought that up, and that you that you keyed in on that, is that, yes, in our beingness. And you've heard me say in other trainings that we are walking training hubs. That is the educationalist within us. And then also
Mm-hmm.
too, the vibration that you play from in the I am curriculum, being the embodiment of the curriculum in motion, which is one of your primary contexts as well. And so again, as you laid it out in structure so beautifully, in terms of focusing on the key piece that is the starting point, the core, the center, and then the kind of the ending, if you want to say. But it really is just the beginning, because when there's the
Right.
embodiment of all of this, that's the new functionality. That's the new formation, and the new foundation, the new formations, and the new functionality. And those premises is what I teach in the new creation metamorphosis aspect, is being metamorphosized, evolutionized, and optimized within having new foundations, new formations, and new functionalities. And in order to be in a new experience, we have to have become something new. And that's why, metaphorically, going through the marketplace metamorphosis and being not just transformed, but evolutionized into a completely different entity than having just grown and evolved into something new and improved. Yeah, we're done with that. And you and I have done different trainings around that. Yeah, we're done with new and improved.
Right.
We're done with bigger caterpillars. You have to have become something different. And this new marketplace, or the new business era trajectory, the new now business era trajectory, brings about the newness. What happens within this experience, I just want to go back to this. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm feeling guided to talk about it a little bit more, is that the new era marketplace trajectory, as I say, is more the John the Baptist of the new now era business trajectory, because it's what prepares individuals to be able to participate. That's why the second coming of who they are has to be intact in order to participate in this next experience. So they can't go in just in skilling up the way that they traditionally have. This is not about going to conferences after conference and learning how to develop your skills better and everything. No, you have to have become a new creation in order to be in this new experience. So that means everything that you've been taught either gets evolutionized or it falls away, because you have to come under these new foundations, new formations, and like I said, in new functionalities. And that's what this rapture experience is, that the rapture experience is preparing you for the eternal work that you are here to do. And that's your soul's mission, your soul's archives coming forth in ways like never before. And so I'm getting really excited about this. I know we probably need to bring this to a close because we just wanted to share a preview, but I thought it was important to go back to that this is about becoming a new creation so that you can be not just in the new era, but you can then, like I said, be in the new now, because the now is where the power is, in the next now, and the next now. You have to be in the now testament of each experience within this life business context. And so being raptured in this way to get you synced up so that you can play out in, like I said, the bigger trajectory. So so this is exciting. Rapturing and resetting, right? And for some, there's going to be some rupturing, but we won't really talk much about that, because in the rapture, there is no rupturing because you're in the more ascended format, but you will see some of those fallouts and the disruptions and eruptions that are going to be taking place in the lower trajectories, so to speak. But at the same time, you will also be guided, some of you, to provide some aspects that facilitate the level up of those who will be able to sync up, even in their left behindness, so to speak. So Joseph, do you have anything that you want to add to that before we get ready to close out?
Well, the only thing that I want to add, I guess, in closing, is that you did not start with the economicpreneurs.
No.
And I say that because a lot of us, one of our stones of stumblings when we're talking about business growth, development, and moving forward is, I don't have enough money. Where's the money going to come from? But we look at and we key in on all of those other E's first. And then once that's in place, then the money will be there.
Absolutely. And the money's already, let me say this, the reason why that right there is not one of the primary focuses, because actually all of what comes before is the money. And but we are learning how to have a different relationship with currency. And that's something that is talked about when you hear in the Bible, you read in the Bible where it says those who have no money come and buy. Those, we start learning a different relationship, how to be in relationship with currency in a different way. And it's a vibration. And so there are going to be times where you will receive things and it's a divine right exchange. And that's something within this newer experience, is that you learn a different financial formation. It's really a new financial anatomy. But in order to even understand that and activate that, the economicspreneurs, not even the financialpreneurs, so to speak, but it's all encompassed. But within this new economics framework, the preneurial aspect is what brings about the newer context. And you're right, that is the stone of stumbling or so. But at the same time, it also has been the one that the builders have rejected as well, because they've rejected the newer ways in which economics presents itself to us. And so there's been where we've needed to focus on developing more of the vibration of currency and that relationship, more so than the continued tangibility, because when I mentioned that, and see, Joseph, of course, he's triggered things, and now I got to talk. Um, I mentioned earlier about the life in business or the career, all of that is one cohesive structure, at this point. It is in the life force, the way, the truth, and the life, that we find our true connection to all that is. And we become one in the I amness, so to speak. But because it's all merged into one, life, business, career, purpose, all of that, like you said, just merged into one, that is within itself an economic experience. And you got to start learning the value of life and the currency of relationships, the currency of breathing, the currency of abundance, the currency of positive thoughts, and being able to see things, very differently. And I want to say something on the currency of relationships, is that a lot of times people look at relationships, okay, they're just relationships, and not understanding there's so much value within, so much profitability. And I actually talk about this in one of my works about profit without honor, and how in the Bible talks about a prophet without honor within his hometown. My work is around profit in terms of profits, the financial, without honor, meaning people don't even honor the currency that's flowing through the gifts of others, that they are just thinking, oh, this is a family member, this is a colleague, this is a this, and they're just, not that people feel entitled, but they kind of just take those things for granted. And I understand, no, this is a currency experience. This is, if people are flowing their giftings and different things, and just because you aren't signing up for a program or you aren't paying, you still better recognize the currency that is flowing. And if we don't recognize the currency that's flowing, we're missing the grander dynamics of the new economic systems that allow us to focus on what's most important, put our attention in those areas, and then see the other tangibilities line up. But when we are not honoring what is before us and who we have in our world, and even honoring when you go online, people that you don't know who've put up a video, or who've put up something you could look at for free, or just whatever, all of that is currency. And if you don't actually tap into that, then you're missing when scripture talks about those who have no money come and buy, eat, even though you don't have, the resources are there, but we've had to learn different ways of uncommon resourcefulness. But when people are looking just through those linear lenses, and that's why the metamorphosis is so important, is because when you are in caterpillar mode, you can only see head on. You can't see in different dimensions and from a panoramic divine view. You only see, I don't have money because it's not flowing. I don't have this because it's not. I always say this, if someone, I'll use something very basic here. If someone who has a Zoom account and they pay monthly, and they allow you to participate on their Zoom account, and you're not paying for that, but you get to facilitate with them on something, or they allow you to record on there, that's all currency. Yeah, and we have to be able to add all of these things up. And when we look at life in that way, then the grander manifestations start to come in, and we start to see it happens in multiple forms. It's already happening, but if we're only looking for it to flow a certain way, then we still are in that very old structure, which will reveal to us how stuff has been overlooked over time, and how the profit within your experience, within your hometown of you, as Dorothy said, no place like home, where she had to click and she was told to say that. Yeah, if you overlook what's in your experience, the people, the books in your experience, the resource, all the different things, if you don't begin to see those out of I call it empire eyes, industry eyes, different, if you don't begin to see the profit there, then you will never be able to sync up into the new economics framework. I feel like we're in the conference right now. Thank you, Joseph.
We're there. We are there.
Yeah, kind of in that segment here, So yeah, but so it's all an economic experience, and everything, as I mentioned before, you'll see that you are all 7 of the rapture candidate aspects, because the empathic encoding is within humanity, and that encoding is being activated in more people who aren't quote unquote born empathic or highly sensitive, so to speak, but that is the new way of being within this new experience. And also too, the second coming vibration is in the preneur vibration. It's not in the entrepreneurial vibration of what has been. It's in a very new format, like anything, the second coming of something. Yes, it has been before in a sense, but it's a newer context of, and again, not new and improved. It is something that is completely different. The second version and vibration of it that is not under the old format in no shape, form, or fashion. So yeah. So again, like I said, these 7, you can see why, Joseph, you laid it out so beautifully. You can see why these were of the greatest importance to be raptured first, and to get prepared. These groups are the ones getting prepared to facilitate the grander expansion and the ushering in of the new experience.
Absolutely. Very well laid out and even better presented.
Thank you. Well, thank you again. I have you to thank for that. Doing a longer preview call here, but it's all good. I'm excited about this, and obviously, this is not just much needed; it is required, and it is simply time to bring it forth. So this rapture and reset, that's taking place. It's interesting because it's not even really a reset, but the reason why that term it still has its relevance is because it is activating something new, and to others their worlds will seem like it has been reset and reordered. So yeah, so this is exciting. So there'll be information in the description box below, again, how to access the previews that we've done, but also the conference once it's become available. And there'll also be information about Joseph and I too in there. So Joseph, thank you. This has been a great experience. And
awesome indeed. Valuable content.
Yes, thank you. But I'm going to turn it over to you for final words and a closeout.
Well, I guess for the closeout, I would just like to say this has been an introduction, so to speak, to the ultimate marketplace rapture or preview. It's important to remember that, as you mentioned, all of those 7 E's, as we'll call them,
yes,
is what each of us in the evolving era must begin to embody.
Yes.
And what happens is, once we embody those 7 E's, we are not coming to the marketplace. We are the marketplace.
That's right. That's right.
Because we are the embodiment of all of this newness that's coming forth in our being. Yes. And that creates a marketplace within ourselves.
Yes.